Hey, this is Tiffany Helm from Friday the 13th 5, Violet, and you are watching and listening to A Film By.
If you are not to award me love, then I will indulge in rage.
Welcome back, everybody, where we're continuing our discussion of Guillermo. I always mispronounce his name. I
Guillermo.
swear. Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein. Ladies, let's continue our discussion about the film itself. I know we've kind of been doing that as we've been talking about the cast, but there's so many amazing scenes throughout this film. How do you ladies feel about him breaking it into like the prelude about his character and then the creature's story? I think that was perfect, in my opinion.
It didn't interfere with the storytelling. I
Yeah.
thought that was a great way of, still flowing through things, and you still didn't feel like, oh, well, I missed something, or, you would forget. I thought it was very, very well done, and it wasn't disruptive at all.
Yeah, it's a good way of adapting a known tale because in the book, you Victor wakes up and sees the creature and freaks out
Hmm.
and passes out, and then the creature just wanders off.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like he grabs a coat and the coat had Victor's diary in it and he just wanders off. So you don't find out until way later where the
Mhm.
creature's been and what has happened to him. And
Mhm.
it's all exposition.
Right.
Mhm.
It's all him telling Victor, and I like that we left this part of the tale and now we're picking up on another part.
Mhm.
I
It was
thought that was
seamless.
really,
It was
yes.
seamless. It really was. It flowed so well you never got bored one time.
Mhm.
And I think also, I've said, Victor's the worst. So we needed a break.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, he
Like I've,
blows
I've
up
had enough of you.
that scene where he blows up the laboratory, that
Yeah.
is so horrific
Yeah.
that he left him chained in the basement and
Yeah.
he gave him what he asked for and he still blew the thing up. Oh, I can't even. So
Yeah.
we needed a break.
Yeah.
We need to catch our breaths and go to a quiet farm somewhere and chill out.
Yes.
Yeah. And
At
it was
least
just
what
such
was
a
nice that he got some instant karma from that.
yes.
That
With
whole
the
Yes.
too little
leg.
too late is like, really, was
Mhm.
that really regret or what? And then, yeah, and then having that happen, I'm like, yeah, painful, isn't it?
Serves you right, buddy.
Right. But again, it's not gonna be like, well, this isn't my fault.
Right?
It's the creature's fault because he was calling my name.
Yes.
I,
Little fun fact, the prosthetic leg that
Mhm.
Victor gets is the same prosthetic leg from Devil's Backbone.
Oh, is it really?
Mhm.
I didn't catch that. That's
Mhm.
awesome. Nice. That's a nice touch. It really is. I love when directors do that kind of
I
stuff,
know, a
especially when
little
it's their
Yeah,
own.
wink.
why not? Yeah.
Yes, why not? I absolutely love how the creature learns how to talk and read.
Hmm.
How
Mhm.
he's watching, the blind man teaching his granddaughter, and he's watching through the wall of that. I thought that was so well done. I
Uh-huh.
really do. And just
That whole
seeing,
storyline makes me so sad
oh, it
because
does.
they are so appreciative of his wanting to help them and he chops the wood for them
Yep.
and fixes the fence and they're thanking the what do they call him, the spirit of the
The
Spirit
forest,
spirit
of the
of the
Force.
forest. Yeah.
and they leave him clothes and they leave him food and stuff.
Hmm.
And it reminded me of Pan's Labyrinth because the fairy tale creatures in that film are so ugly beautiful
Yes.
that if you're not open-minded, they're terrifying.
Hmm.
And so here are these people that you have this spirit that has only ever been benevolent,
Mhm.
but the moment they see him, they can't get past
Okay.
what he looks like to realize this is who's been helping you the whole time.
Hmm.
This is this kind spirit that you have, praised and been so grateful for. And
You didn't have
so
to
sad.
ask.
He just
Yeah.
wanted head pats. It's so
That's it.
sad.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
all I wanted.
Just to belong. And what I love about when he found shelter there, you have all the mice crawling around that usually in a normal, human be like, varmints or, go at him with the broom and stuff. But he, that whole, the mouse going over his hand. And then when he pulled the blanket over himself, and then you see all the mouths like kind of gather, on him just in case. I thought that was a lovely moment, and just his acknowledgement of other little
Hmm.
living creatures that, even though
Hmm.
they're smaller than him, and to others, they're pests or whatnot. But also not just with the little creatures, but before that, with the simple thing of a leaf and
Hmm.
the flowing water, and by him watching the leaf and the water, knowing how he could escape, the fate that Victor was trying to send him to. Of course, at that point, he could regenerate. um
Right.
but those little moments of just him just, hey, it's a symbiotic relationship,
Hmm.
that I really that. And then again, he wanted willingness to learn. Like, he had the willingness there, but he didn't have the teacher that
He had
had
a
that
terrible teacher.
same,
Right.
yeah,
Hmm.
that didn't have that same goal, that same appreciation for actual knowledge,
Right. Well,
just basics. So,
just in itself, you have this brilliant mind in Victor
mhm,
who, does an incredible job of bringing something back to life, okay? But has so selfish, so self-centered that he cannot teach. But
mhm,
yet you have a blind man who
yeah.
has the patience, the wisdom, and is, in my opinion, is more intelligent than Victor because of that fact that he takes his time to teach his daughter, I mean his granddaughter,
Mhm,
that, but also at the same time, the love, even though he can't see this guy,
mhm,
the love that he shows him just makes him so much better than Victor,
mhm.
just in
Hmm.
that fact.
And he's a wonderful representation of, it's purposefully done that he's blind,
Mm-hmm.
because just like with us, if we didn't allow our eyes to make the judgment,
Yeah.
automatic, if we had that removed and relied on our other senses and intuition and that common sense, that if you would allow those things to be at the forefront versus just what you're seeing, that would make all the difference of how we interact with each other, and how we would treat one another, the preconceived. And like I said, people, he must have been a soldier, where else would
Yeah.
he, like, did someone do this to you, what happened to you? That's usually would be kind of like a common first question if you see something, like what
Yep.
happened. Because who in their mind, the first thing, oh well, you must have been put together by a bunch of dead parts, body parts. So
Right?
that's not the first
No one's putting those two together.
yeah, yeah. And then if you're told that, you're like, what? You're out of your mind. Then they lock you up just for being a madman, not for being a monster. um
Yeah.
but but the use of the blind man, showing that you've got these other senses that you really rely on and nurture and use, your eyesight. So he didn't have to have his eyes, he had his sense of, you're a good person. You can feel that vibe off of people. You can
Oh
get,
yeah, absolutely
Mhm.
you can.
with or without, your eyes, you can definitely get that. And so to me, I mean, that was the ultimate, I mean,
Yeah. Um, there's a line that the creature gives us in his narration. He says, "This is when the wolves were attacking for the first time and killing the sheep and stuff like that." He said, "The hunter did not hate the wolf did not hate the sheep, but violence felt inevitable between them. This was the way of the world. It will haunt you and kill you just for being who you are." That is just beautiful. It
Mhm.
really, really is. And I mean, it really makes you think of the way we view things in this world. And, it makes you personalize it in a way, if that makes sense. It does. It makes you want to treat other people better because of seeing, of hearing that. I mean, it hits home. It really does.
assuming a person's walk of life or why they are the way they are, but just automatically, hey, you're in this category, you're in this category. It's going to be, wolves are beautiful, but yes,
Hmm.
but they're doing what they were born to be.
Exactly.
Instinctively
Exactly.
and
do.
and it, yeah,
Yeah.
and it was for, they need to feed themselves too. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, sheep are not a predator.
Right.
They're,
Yeah.
they are a prey, and it's just, that's the balance of that natural world. um
Yeah. Yeah. There's just so many things in this film. It's ridiculous. I mean, we could be talking probably half a day on this
Yes.
film
This
for
is
sure.
definitely a leave the film and go have a nice long dinner
Yeah.
and, just let the ideas flow.
Yeah. This is another one of those films, and I talked about this when we did Jaws back in the summer. This is another one of those films. If you are a film student and you want to really look what it looks like to make an incredible film that is considered art, this is a perfect example to show this to students
Absolutely.
of the depth that you can take in creating a vision.
Mhm.
And Del Toro is a goddamn master of that, and he proves it in this film. He's proved it countless other times. Don't get me
I
wrong.
was gonna say, I think I still would champion Pan's Labyrinth over this one,
It's a yeah,
but um, but yeah, you're absolutely right. Like this absolutely should be on a curriculum somewhere.
yeah. And I envy young filmmakers today. Today kids have so many things at their fingertips now. Anybody can make a damn movie now because the cameras, the technology is there with the cameras, the drones, the steady cams, the computers for crying out loud. You can edit a film on anything. You can edit a film on your damn phone now.
Mhm.
So there's so many things at kids' fingertips now. I'm jealous of that because when I was that age, God, well, you had to use a VHS camera for crying out
Right?
loud, and you really couldn't edit it that well because you didn't have the technology to do that kind of thing. Now you've got everything at your fingertips. Just be creative. Tell a story, and this is a perfect this is a perfect film to go look at that. I showed this to my nephews and I'll go back to like talking about if some people out there have not heard of Frankenstein. My one nephew had no clue who Frankenstein was. And I felt kind of bad. I'm like, Really? You don't know who Frankenstein is and you're my nephew? I've let you down somewhere. Okay,
I
I
know
have."
that happens with Liam sometimes where he's like, what's Pink Floyd? And I'm like, oh, I have failed you. Sit down, son. You're gonna learn.
And that's what I did. I sat him down, and his older brother, he already knew Frankenstein, and we watched
Mhm.
it together. So now he knows, and he got a great example of what Frankenstein is out of this film.
Yes, absolutely.
To see how you can make their lives more enriched and
Yeah.
show them and open up their minds. You don't just discard them and chain them
Yeah.
to the
Don't
basement like,
don't
oh,
worry.
Don't
Yes.
hit him with anything,
Yeah.
well, you're just dumb and I'm done with you.
Well, I love that the title of the book is subtitled The Modern Prometheus.
Hmm.
Mhm.
And I love to think about that as you're reading it or watching this movie because Prometheus, he gave humans fire because he wanted them to grow and flourish. He loved them so much. He wanted to enrich their lives and make it better.
Hmm.
Mhm.
And what Victor has is hubris, which in Greek mythology, it was a lot worse than just being like extremely prideful or arrogant. It was saying that we are better than the gods and that we can do it better and that they're unworthy of ruling and we're going to take over. And all of these things that you look at, you know, your parents and you can say, well, these are all the ways that you screwed up. And then unfortunately, you look at your own kids and you go, yeah, these are all the ways I screwed up, because none of us know what we're doing. We're all doing the best we can.
Mhm.
Exactly.
But, to see how that progresses through this story is just a
Mhm.
Hmm.
fascinating thought experiment.
Yeah. And it shows you what kind of level the creature's on too, that he forgives Victor
Hmm.
at the
Yes.
end. Like, what would that take for anyone to forgive somebody who put them through that? And
Yeah.
then him begging and asking for a companion and, just wanting someone to love him. Just, it really breaks your heart. And I don't know if I could forgive somebody if they put me through something like that. That would be the hardest thing ever. Granted, he's an innocent. He really is. Victor just put him through hell and back, and he learned his lesson with that. And he actually taught Victor a lesson by, beating the crap out of him. The one thing when he says, "I will make you bleed, I will make you humble. You may have created me, but from this day forward, I will be your master." I
Yes.
love that line
Yes.
because it just shows you how the roles have reversed there,
Hmm.
and I think maybe Victor doesn't recognize it just yet because he still goes on that hunt and chases him up north until eventually on the ship he does realize it because remember he tells the captain, "Just put me outside, let the creature have me. because, I'm done, basically. But then when, the creature comes in, tells his story, and then they sit down and basically just, Victor asks for that forgiveness. That whole scene right there was just beautiful in itself. Even though we may hate Victor still, which we do, but just the love the creature had for his father right there just shows you the heart he had in the end.
Yeah, I absolutely am in love with that addition and of that, to be part of that adaptation of that therapeutic scene between them. And I had mentioned in the review about the forgiveness part that is a feat that a lot of us humans struggle to
Yeah.
get to, that healing, all these things we try to, do to survive and so forth. And on the one hand, the creature has had a limited time, on the earth, so they're not so jaded
Hmm.
by the world as, whole. And I think too, with his interactions with that blind man, Elizabeth, and just, and then the little scenes that you have with, where it was that, I think it was a deer when he was initially wandering through the forest, before he got to that family's, the mice and things like that. Um, that definitely worked in his favor to get to that point,
Hmm.
despite what Victor done with him. Because, like you said, most of them are like, no, I hope you rot in hell, die of gonorrhea and rot in hell, dude. Um, like no, and especially, a lot of people are being more outspoken about, their traumas and things, because that is a, healthy part. But, even personally, I mean, some certain things that, other people, the harms have done, that's taken me like decades before, like, because you don't always have to forgive someone else. I know they say, the forgiveness is about yourself, and I'm trying not to digress too much, but just to bring about how he was just so willing to do that for himself, and like you said, of having, that, even that self-love, if you
Hmm.
want to get all kind of a little hokey about it, that, hey, this is kind of the cards have been dealt, this is what I want at the end. He was able to
Yeah, I wonder if it has more to do with
face that.
acceptance, because
And that, yeah,
like
Yeah.
he initially asks Victor, make one like me. I want a partner. I want
Hmm.
a mate.
yeah,
And but I think in this adaptation, the death of Elizabeth, like as he is with her when she dies and their interaction when she dies, I think he realized like this was my soulmate. This is the one that would have loved me.
and
And
she did,
in
and
Yeah, she
losing
did.
her, um I think as he is fleeing Victor, he's accepting that there will be no one else like her.
He's,
There's no one else like me, and there will
yep,
be no one else like her.
he's alone.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I think as he's fleeing and coming to accept that, he tries to destroy himself first.
Hmm.
mm-hmm.
He
Yep.
with the dynamite, and I think he had decided like I'm accepting that this is the end of my path. And when that didn't happen, I think that all of that trauma had then made it easier for him to take that next step to forgive Victor,
Hmm.
before he died.
Yeah.
No, that's a very good point. It's just, hey, this was the idea of a life that I would have liked to have had. Now that that version is not possible, I have to move forward and accept
Hmm.
the life that I am going, to have.
That last scene, that last shot is just
With the
Mm-hmm.
sun.
beautiful. And yes,
Oh
with
my
him
God.
standing
Yeah.
in the sun, like
Yeah.
it's gut wrenching, but it's beautiful as
Yeah,
Yep.
well.
It is really
absolutely.
heartbreaking. I
Absolutely.
mean, it's just like because he's by himself,
Hmm. Well, like
Nope.
to go back to Pan's Labyrinth, like the end of that movie, like I'm a sobbing mess. Like
Yeah.
it's really sad, but it's
Hmm.
also beautiful because, she gets her parents and she's a
Right.
princess and it's okay.
It's
Yep.
bittersweet.
It
Yes,
is.
Very
yes.
bittersweet.
And how appropriate that he ends this movie with the quote, and thus the heart will break, yet brokenly live on.
Yes, I
Hmm.
absolutely love that, the Lord Byron quote. I'm glad he
Yes.
included that because that was another connection,
Yep.
Hmm.
with Mary Shelley.
Well,
So
Yep.
and it was in the book,
Oh
so
yeah,
that's right.
absolutely.
Yeah,
it,
yeah.
was
Hmm.
important to her. There were people that were complaining about it, like you ended the movie with a man's quote, and I'm like, dude, the whole movie was her words. Like, what do
I
you want?
know.
We just spent like 2.5 hours with her. It's fine.
Right.
Everybody calm down.
Yeah, calm down, calm down. You know, another thing that I love that Del Toro did is the sound, the voice of the creature. Like so especially at the
Mhm.
beginning when he's attacking the crew, and you hear that Victor, like that deep growl that he
Uh,
had. It just like even when he got up on the ship and he was like, "I want him," and everybody's like backing up a little bit because it's almost like a creature, or like literally a animal growling
mhm.
Yeah,
loudly. I
I
love
don't know
that.
anything about any kind of layering of sound, but it does sound like if that's Jacob doing that voice, like that's really impressive voice work,
Yeah.
which is possible. But like it almost sounds like they layered him with like
Hmm.
a T-Rex and a gorilla and I don't know what else, something else
Little
really
little
pissed
polar
off.
bear.
Yeah. But it works for sure.
Yes, yes.
That whole opening with that just puts you on edge of your seats. Like, holy
Yes.
crap, we're in for a treat.
Uh-huh. Oh yeah, that was a perfect way of like, yeah, we're gonna pull you on into this,
Hmm.
and yeah. And
Yep.
after
Well,
that, I
and
was
I
like,
was
I'm not worried about the
intrigued.
2 hour time. Yeah, absolutely. I was
Yeah,
like,
I
oh,
was intrigued to see because I didn't know where we were going with this
Right.
adaptation. So Guillermo never lets you down. You're
Mm-mm.
gonna end up loving the creature by the end of it. You know
Yep.
you are.
You
But
know
if
you
we
are.
go according to Hoyle, like he's a horribly violent murderer. Like he
mhm.
slaughters everybody.
Yep.
You know, if they even thought the words Victor Frankenstein, they get killed. So, like you're wondering, how is he going to make me, not terrified of this creature? And then, of course, look at what
And
he
he
did.
does. And
Mhm.
he
Yeah.
does. You know, another thing that we should discuss is the music by Alexander Desplat.
Yes, I was. Yes,
Oh, he's
absolutely.
so
Oh my
brilliant.
God. The
So good.
music in this was brilliant. Again, I'm using that word throughout
Yes.
this.
Yes.
Um, and at times it was just lightly there in the background,
Mhm.
and you almost didn't notice it, but you did because it didn't take over the story or the scene or anything like that. But then when it needed to really punch up, he
Mhm.
did it. And it was absolutely beautiful, especially the piece there at the end.
Yeah.
When
Love.
he's going off to the sun by himself.
Mhm.
Beautiful piece right there. And it just I glad that like he held himself back to some degree. And I'm sure that's Del Toro saying, I don't want the music taking over the story because the story's strong enough,
Mhm.
but you still get hints of it throughout the film. And I thought it was lovely.
Oh,
Well,
I
and I
absolutely love it.
love
Yeah.
like there is no Frankenstein movie without the reanimation scene.
Oh yeah.
Like the laboratory and the reanimation in the storm. Like if you don't have that, I don't know what the hell you're doing.
Right.
And it's
Yeah.
so crucial. And
Are we
it's so
amateurs here?
right? What story are you even telling? But it's interesting to see all the different ways that it's been done through the years and different ideas of, what scientific strategy could you use to
Hmm.
reanimate a corpse.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But I love in this scene how the music is like almost whimsical
Mhm.
Yes, it is.
because there's, you know, horror and comedy are side by side, like they're the yin and the yang, and a
Hmm.
lot of horror, there is humor there
Hmm.
because that's in some ways your response to fear is like that
Mhm.
you just bubble up and like you can
Laugh.
laugh,
Yeah.
and I love that instead of like you said being very bombastic and dramatic and something big is about to happen, there's this kind of whimsical, he's shoving these body parts down the drain and stuff. There's this whimsy to that music that I think is just, it's so spot on.
It is. Absolutely. It's funny when you mentioned the body parts. That documentary that we saw, they
Hmm.
they said that, well, we had a few of these body parts and we wanted to see which one he used. He goes, use them all.
Yes.
And they're all in the seat everywhere.
Yeah, just legs and arms and who knows what. It's so gross.
Yes, it is so disgusting, but yet, I mean, he's up there like sawing limbs off and just, I
Yes.
mean, it
But
makes
there's a
sense.
beauty to that as well.
There
It's
is.
in the level of, if you are in medicine, you take gross anatomy
Mm-hmm.
and you dissect a cadaver and you learn all of these structures.
Mhm.
And he uses that so well. Yeah, I know he's not a doctor, but
Yeah,
he
calm
did
down,
He
Angela.
didn't
We
study.
even go to
know.
A&P.
I mean, he did go to class for a while. And the use of that, scientific medical side of it, anatomical medical side of it,
Hmm.
um, I think keeps it from being disgusting just for the point, of being disgusting. Like I love Kenneth Branagh and I like that version. I think it's a good adaptation of the book. But God damn, it's so gross. Like
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
just
It
gross.
is. Yeah.
So this probably would be a good point to interject my slight little rant since we're talking about like the body parts and this.
Here we go. Here we go.
Okay.
I'm
Touch on
anxious.
something else.
Let's hear it,
Buckle
Angela.
up, kids.
So this, this I don't know. This might be just an extra for the Patreons, but here we go. So back to when the creature's asking Victor, "Hey, I want a companion."
Mhm.
And then Victor goes off on, he refuses because he's not going to make another mistake and he doesn't want, reproduction of the abomination and lead to more madness in the world, or as he says, a breed of rare devils. At least that's from the book. Obviously, he had to go through and salvage all these particular body parts and making sure that they were all in working order, correct? So obviously, you're going to assume okay, maybe he would have the ability to reproduce. But that excuse is just kind of a cop out because if you were to go make a companion for him, well, again, you're going to have to find some fresh body parts to put together that you could reanimate that companion, but take out the reproductive organs. Now, mind you, I am all for women's autonomy and their choice and their personal desires when it comes to, pregnancy, things like that. But since we learned that this particular creature version of the creature can regenerate, a vasectomy is out of the question. Because I would assume if you would do that, his parts are going to heal and then boom, you have more little baby abominations running around. So and which also led me to believe, well, if he can regenerate, well, forget about Captain America, here's your freaking super soldier with that. So that so that was my whole argument about the whole companion thing of just you could have given him somebody and you could have taken away that that element. Again, I know I'm picking this apart,
You're fine.
and breaking it down, but I also thought it was just a for funsies.
Sure.
Well, but that was the
be
big
logical about it.
that was the one thing that I didn't like about this adaptation is I don't like the T-1000 element of Frankenstein. Like I like him
Yeah.
being
I wasn't
super big, super
expecting that.
strong.
But still can get
Um,
hurt.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
the idea that like he literally blew himself up with dynamite and then like just I don't know what came back together again.
guess.
Like
Yeah, he said he could feel everything kind of growing back, but
like
even when he was leaving
I'm
the
gonna say no.
yeah,
But
So even when
I
he
mean
was
that's
leaving-
such a nitpicky little thing that
right.
it doesn't
Yeah.
even count. It doesn't even matter.
It's
fine.
fine.
So,
So
the
that-
whole so that regeneration thing, I was like, okay, well that is a new aspect of him.
It is.
Because in the book he does start making
He makes one and then he throws it away
And
because
then
he
Mhm.
says I don't want him to have
and then all of
babies.
a sudden now I can't do it, and he destroys it, and
Yeah.
the creature watches him destroy it, and that's when he's like, okay, well I'm killing your bride. The wedding night, and Kenneth Branagh kind of took that a little step at that later.
So that leads me to a question.
Yes.
The way this one ends, do you think if Netflix was to finance it, do you think we would see Bride of Frankenstein from Del Toro? Because there's rumors already flying around that it's a possibility. Now, it's not come from Del Toro, to my knowledge, but would you ladies like to see Bride of Frankenstein?
I mean, it would be interesting, but on the other hand, it could be a different story, whether or not, without necessarily a, companion that's created like him. So last night I watched a movie, not realizing that it was more like an extension of the Frankenstein story, and I never seen it, but it's called I Frankenstein with Aaron Eckhart. And I will say it was fun. I don't know if you've seen it, but it was
I've seen it.
Yeah, it was like a modern thing of him, he survived and now he's in the middle of a war between gargoyles and demons. And such, and it was by one of the main writers from the underworld's here. So as soon as I start, I'm like, okay, I can definitely feel the underworld vibe throughout this whole thing. And it wasn't bad. I would it had a lot of good action. It was decent. I mean, it wasn't horrible. So maybe seeing something a little bit more that doesn't necessarily have to involve a bride, it couldn't be something, forced. It's got to be like even if it,
Hmm.
I mean, he's gonna live for a while, so it doesn't necessarily have to take, like right after. It could, time leap even a little bit, like it doesn't even have to be super modern. Um, but if Del Toro would be willing to do it, I would be willing to watch it.
Amber, what do you think?
Um, I mean, Bride of Frankenstein, the movie, doesn't, if you're going for that story, it
Hmm.
doesn't mesh with
It
what
doesn't.
we just watched.
No.
So it would have to be like pretty original
Mhm.
idea.
Yep.
Um, and like Angela said, whatever Guillermo wants to do, I am 100% there for it. He
We'll
can do
support it.
whatever he wants forever. But
Absolutely.
I'm no, I'm not interested. I have, Liam loves Hellboy and Hellboy 2, but that's a comic book adaptation
Right.
that has many series and iterations. I've never been interested in a sequel to any of his films, so I think they're perfect just like they are.
I'm in the camp that let's just leave this one alone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't need any sequels. We don't need any additional stories or anything like that because this one's absolutely perfect.
I
Let's
love the ending. Like it's just
yeah.
Yeah.
peace, just leave him be,
Yep.
and that's just kind of where,
Yeah.
um,
Let him go hang out with the polar bears. He'll
he's
be
Yep.
fine.
right. Go be a spirit of the forest. Go,
Exactly.
Mhm.
you know,
Yep.
be benevolent to those that you don't always have, make it
Yeah.
known. Just be a
Keep pushing
secret.
people out of the ice flow.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Watch out for that. So I just like to think of his
Doing his thing.
Yeah.
doing his thing. He
Yep.
doesn't need our interference. And
I like that. That's the best way to look at it. And I agree with you on that one, Angela. All right, so ladies, I know I told you to bring with you some homework and talk about your three favorite films that are Frankenstein. That is not this one because I know all of us absolutely love this one. So
yes,
we're not going to include this one. So let's talk about our three favorite films that are about Frankenstein over the years. So whoever wants to go first, be my guest.
have at it, Amber.
All right. So my first one is from 1935, The Bride of Frankenstein, actually.
Good one.
I was torn between that one and the first one, but Bride of Frankenstein has more of the monster and more his characters more like it is in the book. And you get a little more divisive Victor, so to speak, because you have Victor, who's still like kind of a nice guy, and then you have Dr. Pretorius, who's just an absolute rat bastard. So you get like the yin and yang of that. So I like that one. Um, 1974, Young Frankenstein can never not be on the list.
Of
You
course.
have to make a good parody, you have to love what you're parodying.
Hmm.
And that parody is so spot on, perfect, hysterically funny. Um, and the love just flows through. So
Yep.
that one always is on my list. And then for my third one, I talked about the Kenneth Branagh version. Everybody really knows that one. But in 2011, the National Theatre in Britain did National Theatre Live production of Frankenstein starring Benedict Cumberbatch and Johnny Lee Miller.
Mm.
And what they did was for the run of the play, they alternated playing Victor and the creature.
Oh, cool.
So I can't remember. It was like every other night or every third night or whatever. They switched off.
Hmm.
And then National Theatre Live will film certain productions. And so Liam and I saw that in the theater, and it's, I believe, still available on YouTube. They did release it officially. It's not like a bootleg.
Hmm.
And that is just a fascinating acting
That's
exercise.
intriguing.
It's really interesting to watch, the set design and the way they tell the story, and it's very minimalistic sets, but it still gives you everything that you need
Hmm.
to tell the story. And then the acting between those two is just amazing. And it goes very much into the morality of the choices that Victor made. And the line from this movie that I love is he says, "I never considered what would come after creation." And I just shouted out like, just like a man. Damn it. Of course you didn't.
My
This
word.
is why you have very little to do with creation, and you just let us take care of it
Yeah.
because Y'all cannot handle it. Um, but that's pretty much this play, is this back and forth between them of, what has Victor done, and the other characters as they discover what he has done, kind of discussing the morality of it, and the implications of that kind of science. And so it's just a really fascinating production. So
That
check
sounds
that out on YouTube.
that sounds amazing. I'm definitely going to check that out. Thanks, Amber.
Yeah. Very cool.
Angela, what about you?
I wholeheartedly Young Frankenstein is my number one.
Of course.
The brilliance of Gene Wilder and Mel Brooks coming together with that, and not just the story, but bringing us some amazing comedic female performances
Mhm.
from
Oh
Terry
my God.
Garr,
Madeline Kahn
Madeline
makes
Kahn.
me cry.
I
The
mean,
scene at the train,
Oh yeah.
I die. I cannot even breathe.
she was taken from us too soon.
Yeah.
And then Cloris Leachman,
Mhm.
of course, but now pretty much everyone on that film, I hope they're all having a blast,
Yep.
wherever they are in heaven and having a lovely reunion. You just can't have Mel Brooks just yet.
Nope, not yet.
Not until he finishes Spaceballs
Oh yeah.
too.
So just yes, we need Spaceballs number 2.
This
Yes,
is what's going to heal the world. I'm
yes, the
convinced.
Yeah.
search for more money. I can't wait. I was like, I will be in the opening weekend for that.
Yep.
But yeah, just like she said, you can only do an appropriate and perfect parody if you really know the material, and it was just fantastic. So, that's my number one. I did put on Kenneth Branagh's Mary Shelley's Frankenstein for just a couple of reasons. Not that it's the best adaptation, because it's not. I I love Kenneth Branagh. I think he's a good director. I think he's a great actor. This particular version shows a little bit more of the romanticism of it. I think,
Hmm.
especially with him and Elizabeth, sticking with that particular storyline as in the book. It does tend to be a little bit more Shakespeare and melodramatic. I think Robert De Niro was miscast as the
Oh
monster.
yeah.
Yeah.
And the makeup of him I mean, it was just, I mean, I get trying to go for shock, maybe shock value and gruesome, but it was just, I don't know. I just think it was just I just didn't like it. Because there's a way you can portray that without being so like, you just didn't care with that needle and thread, did you, Victor? Like, and and the parts you pick, like, it's just laziness. Anywho, so for that, um, and then it also kind of shows, where the whole, the monster kills Elizabeth, and then Kenneth's like, oh well, I can just resurrect her now, and then showing that where she comes to realize what was done to her and what she decides to do because of that. So I liked those parts of it, and I think it's a good one, at least nothing else to gauge the other versions. The last one, I put the first Frankenstein in 1931, since that was the one that kind of started it all. Seeing, the Boris Karloff and that first kind of visual representation, of that monster, overlooking that, understanding it was made in 1931. So, the acting there is a little bit camp and exaggerated, and obviously films have progressed
A
since
lot.
then. And then I know I'd already mentioned that, the credit of her in that was just, I'm like, oh my God. As Mrs. Percy B. Shelley and not just Mary Shelley. I was like, ah. But I think those three are good ones to have
To
a good
gauge.
make a
Yeah.
gauge. Yeah.
I agree. So I mean, we're all three going to be pretty much close to one another. My first one, obviously, I'm going to go with the way Del Toro would go, and it would be the 1931 Frankenstein with Boris Karloff as the monster, Colin Clive, May Clark, John Bowles, and of course directed by James Whale. That one set the standard for all of Frankenstein films up to this date, and it does so much that Del Toro, obviously grew up with that. He saw it in the theaters over and over, and he fell in love with it, which is why we got the Frankenstein that we get today, is because of that film. So you have to give that one its nod. Amber, I agree with you. The 1935 Bride of Frankenstein, you get more of Boris Karloff, which I love him as Frankenstein. It's what I watched when I was a little kid growing up. I mean, I know they were still really old, when I was growing up, but I fell in love with that Frankenstein. But again, you got Colin Clive, you got Elsa Lanchester in her incredible performance as Mary Wollstonecraft Shelley. She was amazing in that film. Again, directed by James Whale, who I think did such a great job with those two. And of course, I have to agree with both of you on Young Frankenstein. Come on, putting on the Ritz. I'm telling you, just that scene in itself, I cry every time I watch it because it's so funny. Everybody, and then I want to throw out, oh my goodness, Marty Feldman. He was
Yes.
brilliant in that film, and just as Igor. I mean, my
Yeah.
God, wasn't your hump on the other side? Huh? It just the simple things in that movie were just so funny. And
Mhm.
yeah, a shout out to Cloris Leachman. I loved her. Madeline Kahn, Terry Garr, everybody. Gene Wilder was perfect in that film. I can't speak more that you two have already done, but those definitely are the three Frankenstein films that I would watch over and over and recommend to everybody, including this one that we just talked about in this episode.
Mom and I will still kind of quote the monster finds Madeline Kahn and she starts singing. Friend, oh, now I found you.
So good.
We still will quote that part as, depending on what's going on in our lives or what we're talking about, is somehow we can relate it to that. We bring that up too. So,
Yep,
uh,
absolutely. Well, ladies, thank you so much for joining me for this podcast. It has been exactly what I expected to be.
hopefully it was, wasn't too much.
No, not at all. You two were both perfect. Thank you so much for that. I I knew what I was getting into, and I'm glad. That's why I wanted you two with me to talk about this film. And Amber, I owe you an apology, but when I rolled my eyes saying when you said it was a brilliant film, that it was a masterpiece before I watched it, because
Yeah.
you are absolutely correct. It is a masterpiece of a film.
They don't call me the voice of reason for nothing.
This
And
is
I'll
true.
say one more thing about it. Like I usually watch things just, either, comedic, because of my hectic work schedule and what I do for a living. And so, usually I go to like comedic stuff, or I'm usually always like super serious like drama stuff because I'm weird. Um but what I really loved, besides all the things that we've talked about with this film, was that even in that chaotic life and in a schedule, that it's hard for me to really connect with something to really allow me to feel like all the things that sometimes I don't give myself time to do.
Hmm.
This really helped like with that. Like I, from the moment it started till even long after it ended, and I was, was listening to like the soundtrack, online, just all those things that I maybe not be able to address like day and I, but all the more better for it. I know I'm kind of like babbling here with, but definitely something that you really want to feel. You're invested. I mean, you're just, it gave quite a lot, and I really appreciate that part. So.
Absolutely. Well, your article was perfect. That's another reason why I wanted you on this one, because of
Oh,
the article. And I'm like,
I
you know,
appreciate it.
getting Amber and Angela together is going to be fun. But I know both your love, your passion, so it's nice to have that together and talk about it. So, without question, thank you so much for that. Listeners, what do you think of Frankenstein? Have you seen it? Did we get this one wrong? Because I know we didn't get it wrong. Let us know on Facebook, Instagram, and X. Check out www.afilmbypodcast.com for film and TV articles and our entire library streaming free. Write to us on afilmbypodcast@gmail.com with your questions, comments, and concerns. We may just read your response on the show and send you some Film By swag. You can also check us out on YouTube. All of our podcasts are now going to there. We have a majority of them now there to listen to. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. We would greatly appreciate it. For all you Patreon members out there, thank you so much for joining us. And, if you want to join Patreon, please check us out on our website. It's easy to do. We have a free level, but there's some other levels you can join, and you can ask us to do movies that you want us to talk about if you sign up for the correct level. All right, everybody, thank you so much, and we look forward to talking to you again. Have a good night.